For most rangatahi, the justice system is an intimidating place to be.
I've seen young people who just had headphones on, even if their phones were flat and their eyes were down. They talk about shame, about being whakama, about being isolated.
And it's a place speech therapist Tracy Karanui-Golf helps rangatahi Māori to navigate.
As Māori people with brown faces, we know what profiling feels like. We know what it feels like to have just those eyes on you.
Tracy is the only full-time Māori speech therapist working as a communication assistant in our courts.
But I do know that my lived experiences mean that I'm able to connect with whānau Māori in a way that maybe non-Māori therapists can't, because we just don't have the same shared experiences.
The courtroom is a far cry from Tracy's days as a struggling solo teen mum of 2 boys. After finding work at a school for the deaf, Tracy was inspired to go to university to train as a speech and language therapist.
As a Māori mum at the time who left school and had been expelled, and I have 90 cousins and none of us had been to university, and only 1 or 2 of us had finished school before.
And that made her even more determined to gain her tohu, a degree in speech and language therapy. Today she works for Talking Trouble, an organisation which provides communication assistance for those caught up in the justice system.
So the person can understand all the important things that they need to understand about them, and that they can say all of the things that they need to say, or answer all of the questions that they might be asked in court.
Stepping into a courtroom full of police, lawyers and a judge is intimidating for anybody, let alone a rangatahi with major speech and learning difficulties. So in 2019, when the Oranga Tamariki Act came into force, it meant by law all young people in our court system have to understand what's going on. And that's where Tracy comes in. You'll often see her in the courtroom with a number of tools, such as screens, post-it notes and picture cards to help explain what's happening.
In the justice system, so often people will just agree. So if I say to you, did you get all that? Is that all good? They'll say, yeah, all good, miss. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I got it. Then I'll say, okay, so tell me about it. What did the lawyer just say? What was all that talking about? And they'll just look at me blankly and go, oh no, I don't know.
Research by Talking Trouble found that 81% of rangatahi at a youth justice facility had language impairment, with 43% having severe language impairment.
And so for a young person who has lived in lots of foster homes, who has been removed by the state for care and protection issues, who has gone to lots of different schools, if I'm able to explain to the young person that that means that their language might not have developed to the same level as other children, they actually feel relieved. And they'll say to me, oh, I thought I was just dumb, miss.
Tama is a rangatahi who often thought this about himself. Tracy worked with Tama in the youth court. He's partially deaf, dyslexic, and struggles with comprehension. What was school like for you?
When I first went, it was alright, but I started getting into trouble, into fights, wasn't listening in school. I used to get paranoid at a few things, like at people if they say things wrong to me.
Was it hard for you to learn?
Yep, my spelling and writing, probably my reading too.
Tama's mum knew from an early age her son had both hearing and learning issues. And when he went to school, how was he treated?
He was treated like an outsider. Kids used to tease him, call him dumb. That's really impacted on his adulthood.
She advocated for years for her son to receive the extra support at school he so desperately needed. Being Māori, did you feel that was why he didn't receive the help he should have?
Absolutely. And that's what I always stressed when I went to MOE. And what I stressed at school, I said, he's just going to be another statistic, Māori statistic. And it still upsets me today that he didn't get that help. And then I still see our Māori out there still not getting that help.
After leaving high school at a young age, Tama found himself in trouble with the law facing serious charges.
I just hung around the wrong people. My mindset was just changed when I went around him.
He was looking at long-term imprisonment. We were so terrified. It was something that put a strain on our family for some time until Tracy actually come along.
Tracy still remembers when she first started working with Tama, and like many rangatahi in the courts, he was withdrawn and seemed like he didn't care.
He always had his headphones on all of the time, and so I asked him about that. I was like, why have you got your headphones on? Your phone's flat, you're not even listening to anything. And he said, so people won't talk to me, because here everybody uses big words and I never know what they're saying. So if I put my headphones on, put my hoodie on and look at the ground, less people talk to me.
It wasn't until a victim impact statement was being read out, his parents realised how confused their son was.
A police officer's reading what their young man has done, and there was just nothing from this young man.
There's no words that I can describe how I was feeling about seeing my son at court and not understanding.
So Tracy drew a diagram with pictures to show the harm his actions had caused other people.
Within about 3 sentences of me helping that young man to understand the impact, he was crying in a way that his mum said she hasn't heard him cry since he was 3 years old.
Yeah, very emotional for me. We all broke down. Myself, my tāne, and so did the police officer.
Tracy's time with Tama transformed him from a young man on the verge of prison to someone on the path to rehabilitation.
The last time we appeared in rangatahi court, the young man stood up, he said his pepeha, he spoke to the judge.
For him to speak to the judge, that was another level. He even said his pepeha.
He's made so much progress, he's escaped conviction. How do you feel today, now that you've been able to overcome your challenges?
Pretty good. Still finding my pathway to where I actually want to be.
What would you like to say to Tracy?
I'd like to say thanks for all her help that she's done for me, and being by my side by court, helping me understand stuff.
What would your advice be to other Māori whānau who are going through the same situation you did and feel like they are in a hopeless situation?
The justice system, they need to recognise that these whānau that come through court once a year, twice a year, obviously ain't getting it. So they need people like Tracy on board to take it step by step and for them to comprehend what's actually happening.
What have you learnt from working alongside whānau?
Rangatiratanga. Whānau Māori and rangatahi telling their lawyers themselves what they need or what they have understood. That is rangatiratanga. That is the mahi.